Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday, March 10th. The weekend is approaching. Another week closer to opening day. The World Baseball Classic started. I haven't been able to catch any games, but should be a good tournament. I like the look of the USA roster. Obviously, the Dominican roster looks great. It's just nice to see these so many different teams now well represented. Even my home country, Colombia, actually has a team playing in that and playing in this tournament. That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. So it's nice to see all these teams well represented in the World Baseball Classic. Let's see who wins. Hobby wise, it's been kind of slow, but that's kind of been the norm for me these days. I wanted to take a moment to thank Alex Bowman 53. I was on his card chat show the other day, last Sunday, with Don Field of Dreams and with Drew, the A Drew, and with Scott from Stukes Cards, and that was really fun. It was able to talk with other collectors about, in this case, the 1950s. And it's really interesting when you finally get the opportunity to talk to other people that collect. You realize you have still so much more to learn because so many different collectors know so many different things that you don't. So it's really great to connect with other collectors, and I would definitely advise you, if when you get the chance, become friends and start talking to people who collect, just because they can inspire you and they can give you some good ideas. So that was really fun, though. I really enjoyed doing that. What are we going to talk about today? And it's funny because every week I know what I'm going to talk to you guys about. And at the last minute, I changed my mind and said, no, I don't want to talk to you about that today. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I also got a card in the mail, which was what really inspired what we're going to talk about today. And that's the word subsets. Some of us are set collectors, some of us are player collectors, some of us are team collectors, some of us just buy everything. Um, Subsets, though, I'm starting to like, just because as a set collector, and I'll use the 1961 set as a reference, sometimes I frankly don't want to buy cards of a bunch of guys that I don't know. Sometimes I do, and I'll end up working on the set. But it brought up to me, though, in my opinion, what great subsets are. There were four that I listed out, and I'll go from four to one. But I would ask you what your favorite subset is. Like, one of my favorite subsets it's a small subset, was the 1972 Topps Traded. It's only 7 cards, but you got Joe Morgan, you got Steve Carlton, Jim Fregosi, Frank Robinson, Rick Wise, Jose Cardinal, and I'm missing somebody in that group. But it's just a fun. It's just a fun subset. If you're not in the mood to buy the entire 1972 Topps set, work on a subset. You could buy all the inaction cards, or you can buy all the childhood, boyhood hero cards. The other subset that I picked, which was my third favorite, and if Dylan Double D Vintage is watching, I know this one is his favorite. That would be the 1975 Topps MVP cards. Those are beautiful. Nice set of cards from 1951 to 1975. We get to see the photographs of the actual cards. I remember I was 10 years old when that set came out, and I thought, wow, look, that was my first look at a 1951 Topps Yogi Berra, or a 1957 Topps Mickey Mantle or Hank Aaron. Just a nice subset. That's another nice subset to own if you don't want to go to the trouble of buying the 1975 set. One set I can't stand is the 1969 Topps set. I would never work on that set unless magically somebody gave me 400 cards and all of a sudden I go, okay, I'm going to start this set. But I do like the 1969 Topps World Series set. That features the 1968 World Series between the Tigers and the Cardinals. Looks like newspaper headlines for each game. I think that's a really nice looking set. It's very unique. It's very different. Personally, like I said, I'm not a fan of the 69 set, but I would consider buying the several cards that make up the 1969 Topps World Series subset. So what I'm going to do is turn the camera around and show you a pickup that I got of my favorite subset. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so before I start on my favorite subset, I'm going to show you a couple of cards of my favorite subset, but I got a few cards that literally one of them just showed up in the mail. I go, I better show it off because I know I'll never show it in one of my videos, and that is the 1994 Bowman Chan Ho Park. Some of you know I've been working on some junk wax sets from the Dodgers between 1981 and 1995. Just about wrapped up with that project. But I needed this Chan Ho Park card. Look at that windup back then. He was a pretty good pitcher for a few years. Then he went to the Rangers and didn't do much, but I liked him when he pitched for the Dodgers. So that one just arrived. A card I picked up a couple of weeks ago. I've had on my watch list forever on eBay. I watched this card on eBay, this 1933 DeLong Lefty O'Doul. It was on my watch list over a year. No one ever made a move on it. I know I made an offer of $150, and I forgot that I had made the offer. And this was like a year ago. And when I went to buy the card this time, I was about to make him an offer of $150 when I noticed I had already offered him $150 last year. So I just said, forget it. I'm going to buy it. So this is the 1933 DeLong Lefty O'Doul, the only Dodger card in the set. So I'm lucky there. There's the back. But this is a nice card. He's bigger than the stadium. The ones that I've seen before, the Pie Trainer card, the Lou Gehrig card, stunning. This one's nice too, though, and I'm glad there's only one Dodger. So I picked that up this weekend, or last weekend, and I'm glad it arrived. But going back to my original question, what is your favorite subset? My favorite subset is the 1961 Topps All-Star cards. 22 cards. There's 16 position players, 4 pitchers, two left-handed pitchers, 2 right-handed pitchers, and a manager card. These are high numbers. As a child, I never saw one of these before. The first time I did see one was the 1961 Topps Roger Maris, and it bared a stunning resemblance to the 1970 Topps All-Star set. But when you put them side by side now, you realize the 1970 set has nothing compared to these. The font's a little darker. The pictures are just way better. It seems a little bit more clear. My memory of the 1970s cards, with the pictures always looked kind of faded in that set for some reason. Maybe it was just the color quality back then. So I picked up this Whitey Ford. He's the left-handed pitcher. And I won't go into a full biography about him, but I did want to talk to you a little about Whitey Ford during that era. He was coming off 3 consecutive seasons. He only was starting 29 games. Some of Ford's totals were depressed by Yankee manager Casey Stengel, who viewed Ford as his top pitching asset. And he often reserved his ace left-hander for more just worthy opponents, such as the Indians or the White Sox. But when Ralph Houck became the manager in 1961, he promised Ford that he would pitch every 4th day, regardless of the opponent. Because after exceeding only 30 starts once in his 9 seasons under Stengel, Ford had 39 starts in 1961. And indeed, 1961 was his first 21 season, a career best 25-4 record. And the Cy Young Award ensued. But Ford's season was overshadowed by the home run battle between Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. That was the theme in 1961. As a left-hander with an excellent pickoff move, Ford was also deft at keeping runners at their base. He set a record in 1961 by pitching 243 consecutive innings without a stolen base. Ford went on to win the Cy Young Award in 1961. He likely would have won the 1963 AL Cy Young, but this was before the institution of separate awards for each league. And Whitey Ford could not match Sandy Koufax's number for the Los Angeles Dodgers of the National League. So Koufax ended up winning the Cy Young Award that year. So this is the 1961 Topps All-Star card, Whitey Ford. And my second and last card, I've only got 2 cards in this set so far, is the 1961 Topps All-Star Willie Mays. And I love this card. After spending his first 2 years in San Francisco at Seal Stadium, the Giants moved into the new Candlestick Park in 1960. Initially, the stadium was expected to be conducive to hitting home runs, but unpredictable winds affected Mays' power, and he only hit 12 home runs at home in 1960. 1960, he was on the All-Star team, finished 3rd in the MVP balloting behind Dick Groat and Don Hoke of the Pirates. Then in 1961, Alvin Dark was hired to manage the Giants before the 61 season, and the Giants improved to finishing to a 3rd place team. Mays had one of his best games on April 30th, 1961, hitting 4 home runs and driving in 8 runs against the Milwaukee Braves at County Stadium. Now, according to Mays, he had been unsure if he would even play that day because of food poisoning. Each of his home runs traveled over 400 feet. And as I mentioned earlier, regarding the American League, Mantle and Maris pursued Babe Ruth's single-season home run record in the American League. Mays and Orlando Cepeda battled for the home run lead in the National League. Mays trailed Cepeda by 2 home runs at the end of August, but Cepeda out-hit him 10-6 in September to finish with 46, while Mays finished with 40. Mays led the league with 129 runs scored and batted .308 with 123 RBIs. Now, the interesting thing that I didn't know back then was that though he had continued to play at a high level since coming to San Francisco, Mays endured booing from the San Francisco fans during his first 4 seasons in California. There was speculation that may have been because San Francisco fans were comparing Mays unfavorably with Joe DiMaggio, the most famous center fielder ever to come from San Francisco. There were 2 other explanations along with the DiMaggio theory, one being that the fans had heard so many wonderful things about Mays play in New York that they had expected him to be a better player than he actually was. And 2, Mays tended to keep to himself. Mays said that in 1959 that he did not mind the booing, but he admitted in a 1961 article that the catcalls were bothering him. Whatever the reason, the boos, which had begun to subside after Mays' 4 home run game in 1961, grew even quieter in 1962 as the Giants enjoyed their best season since moving to San Francisco. I will say this is my favorite Willie Mays card from the 60s. His regular base card is pretty bad. It's a capless card. He just doesn't look happy. He's got the famous say hey smile here. But this one in the 65 would probably be my favorites from the 60s. I don't know what your guys's are, but this was a nice pickup. And what did I do? I got that in a 5. Got a good price for that about a year ago. But yeah, so my favorite subset is the 1961 Topps All-Stars. What's your favorite subset? I've only got 2. I got 20 more to go. And at some point, I'll end up finishing it. But we'll see what happens till then. All right, you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
It's a beautiful day.